Ricciardo on Sergio Pérez, moves up into second place. Ricciardo takes the lead.
From being one of the most promising young drivers in F1 to not even being able to secure a spot on the grid in 2023, Daniel Ricciardo's career has had more twists and turns than Silverstone. And while the Aussie may have found his way back to Red Bull as their third man, that doesn't necessarily mean he's there to take Checo's spot. See, when news broke that Danny had signed with Red Bull as their reserve driver after being bought out of his contract with McLaren, fans couldn't help but be excited. Like, everyone had been clamoring to see the Aussie reunite with Max ever since he left for Renault in 2018. And well, we're finally getting that. But you know, I can't help but wonder if this kinda puts Sergio in jeopardy. Cause now that the Honey Badger is back, will he settle for being a backup or fight for a place at the top?
And down the inside goes Daniel Ricciardo. Alonso tries to fight, but he just hasn't got the traction.
I mean, it wouldn't be too outlandish to think he'd go for the latter. As a driver, he'll always want a spot on the grid. But can he? On the surface, it seems possible. Danny has a great relationship with, well, pretty much everyone at Red Bull. He's like one of Verstappen's best, and if I'm being honest, only friends in the business.
Hola todos. Hello everyone.
Checo doesn't seem to mind him. And well, Christian Horner's always been one of Danny's biggest supporters. Like, the guy was gunning for him last season while Ricciardo was still racing for McLaren. And while the Aussie's racing has been a little stop and start recently, there's still that old Danny in there somewhere. He wouldn't have been able to win the Italian GP in 2021 if there wasn't.
Here we go, this is what we've been waiting for.
But again, that might have been enough to land him a spot at Red Bull. But is it enough for him to get Sergio's spot? If we're looking at pure performance, it's gotta be a big no. And I think even the biggest Danny Rick fans would agree with that. Like, Perez has been the perfect teammate for Verstappen since 2021. He's helped Max in some crucial moments. I mean, do y'all remember his defense against Lewis Hamilton in Turkey and Abu Dhabi last year?
Perez playing the ultimate team game here for Max Verstappen, and this is really frustrating Lewis Hamilton.
Or how about the way Checo made sure that Red Bull took maximum points at the Baku Grand Prix? It was a total game changer for the team.
Perfect day and a very happy Sunday for Red Bull.
And let's not forget how he stole the fastest lap from Hamilton in both Silverstone and Interlagos. Like, sure, Daniel's one hell of a driver in his own right, but right now, there's no way Red Bull would even consider giving him Checo's spot. It just wouldn't make any sense. And before you Drive to Survive era fans get all angry, just listen to what Eddie Jordan has to say. Because, according to him, Sergio Perez's seat is safe. See, despite some recent tensions between Perez and Verstappen, Jordan doesn't believe this will impact Checo's seat on the team. In fact, he thinks that Perez is a brilliant foil for Max, and the two drivers work well together.
You gotta watch F1 on Kaigo, F1 Planet.
Now, if you know anything about F1, you'll know that having a clear number 1 and number 2 driver has often been crucial to a team's success. Mercedes had Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, who won 5 Constructors' Championships together. Hamilton won 4 drivers' titles, while Bottas didn't really challenge him even once during their 5 seasons together. And according to Jordan, Red Bull has a perfect situation with Max as the clear number 1 and Perez as the number 2 driver. He compares it to Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine's partnership, where Irvine was happy to play the number 2 role and knew the rules going in. But even bigger than that, Jordan believes in the fact that Red Bull values continuity above all else. They want to maintain a stable environment, and they don't want to change things unnecessarily. Sure, Ricciardo has been with the team before, so he knows how they operate. But Jordan thinks that Red Bull would only consider replacing Perez if there was no other option. And well, if that seems harsh, get this, he's not the only one who thinks so. See, Sky Sports F1 expert Karun Chandok recently gave his opinion on the whole situation. And well, he thinks that it's unlikely we'll see Ricciardo driving for Red Bull in Grand Prix again in the future. According to Chandok, the biggest challenge for Ricciardo is that it's difficult for the team to evaluate him. There's no in-season testing that he can do, and he's not a rookie, so he can't do the rookie tests. Even if they were to take one of their drivers out of an FP1 session, you can't judge Ricciardo on just one session. That's not it though. Team boss Christian Horner has also played down the idea of Ricciardo returning to race for Red Bull, and that definitely doesn't seem like a good sign. As for other potential landing spots, Chandok suggests that Ricciardo might have to settle for a midfield team if he returns to racing. One interesting option he mentions is Nick de Vries. He has a good relationship with Max Verstappen, so he'd definitely be compatible with Danny. And he's currently driving for Red Bull's sister team AlphaTauri, so they could definitely make it happen. But as far as Sergio Perez goes, it looks like he's safe in his seat for now. And I get that this may upset a lot of Ricciardo fans, but it's not like he joined the team expecting to replace Perez either. See, the Aussie has been pretty quick to dismiss rumors of a potential swap with Sergio. According to Danny, he's actually pretty content with his current role as the team's third driver, and has even gone as far to say that he needed this sort of break from Formula One. Guess 11 consecutive years on the grid can do that to a guy.
Ricciardo goes for it from a long way back. Daniel Ricciardo is up into second place.
Ricciardo also talked about how comfortable he felt upon his return to Red Bull, saying that it felt like he never left. And if he's saying all that despite not actually doing any racing, it's gotta be true. But where does Ricciardo's future lie if not on the grid?
I feel like there's some real sick around here frothing for it.
Now, I hate to say this, but if Danny wants to race, he'll have to look at places other than Red Bull, because right now, their cockpit seems to be full. And looking at the way Verstappen and Perez have been pulling in the W's, I don't think a spot's going to open up anytime soon. But with the highly competitive nature of F1, time is of the essence. The longer he waits, the harder it could be to find a seat. While AlphaTauri has been floated as an option, it would mean being a bit part player on the grid. And we all know Ricciardo's ambitions are higher than that. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom.
I don't know how these boys can do it, but I'll give it a red hot crack and see how we go.
If someone like Lewis Hamilton or Fernando Alonso decides to retire, it could open doors for Ricciardo at the top table. Or maybe Audi linking up with Alfa Romeo in 2026 could be an interesting prospect. Of course, that would require some things to fall into place, like Zhou Guanyu having a bad 2023 campaign and Valtteri Bottas feeling at home with the Swiss team. For now though, Ricciardo just needs to be patient, because at the end of the day, Daniel's time at McLaren has left a lot of question marks around his driving skills. A lot of the teams don't believe he has it.
Keep a close eye on what's happening and try and obviously help the team as much as possible.
And well, as I mentioned earlier, since he's a reserve driver this year, the Aussie won't be getting a lot of chances to prove them wrong. Sure, he might get a one-time drive in place of Perez or Verstappen, which would be a great opportunity to remind everyone of his skills. But he shouldn't be getting his hopes up right now, cause that's a huge might. As for where he can go from here, I can't really say. Maybe he'll stay involved with F1 in some other capacities. Or, you know, given his likable personality, maybe he can try his luck in Hollywood. Perhaps he could follow in Paige Spiranic's footsteps and become a social media influencer. But one thing's for sure, he ain't getting Checo's spot, and you can bank on that. And that's all I have on why there's no chance Perez will be replaced by Ricciardo.